Welcome to my series based on Zentangle's Bijou Be Well, done in May 2025. Each day, Zentangle put out a video featuring one pattern, and the design was meant to be drawn in a short amount of time, so you could just take a little time for yourself and kind of get yourself centered. I encourage you to go visit their YouTube channel. I'll have the link down in the comments, and you could see how they did their designs. This series is meant to walk you through how to draw each design, and then also to give you some alternative ideas for embellishments and ways to kind of zhuzh up that pattern. This video covers Tripoli. For all cards in this series, I used the same tools, so you will see in every single video in this series a blue Micron 05 pen, a General's Indigo blue chalk pastel pencil, an 8B graphite pencil, two Tortillons, so one for blue, one for black, and white tiles. And of course, that's my trusty little pencil sharpener there as well. If you followed along with the Zentangle series, you will notice that they also include a white pencil and a Tortillon for that. I chose to not use those for my series because I'm using a white tile, and I find that the white chalk pastel pencil really doesn't add very much to the design. Take a moment to gather your tools, get yourself centered, make sure you're sitting comfortably in your chair. When you're ready, let's begin. We begin with a seed-shaped string going diagonally corner to corner. And then put down your pencil, pick up your pen. In the middle of your seed shape, we're going to draw a triangle, and I'm going to make my triangle with wavy lines, so using some gentle arcs, but you can make yours with straight lines if you would like. Then I'm going to take one side of that triangle and I'm going to draw an aura, in other words, a parallel line, and then draw another wavy triangle off of that. Then pick another side and do this again. And I'm going to fill this entire seed shape up with these little wavy triangles, locking them together by drawing a parallel line or an aura off of one side and creating a triangle from that. And some of my triangles are going to be big and some of them are going to be kind of small. And as I go, when I get to the string line, I'm going to use that as a boundary, so that may be an edge of a triangle. And this will make for some little squishy triangles along the edge of my seed shape as I try to keep it all contained inside of that string. And I'm going to continue this way until my entire string line is just filled with these little interlocking wavy triangles. While Tripoli looks really cool on its own, it also serves as a nice vessel for a second pattern, and that's what we're going to do here. So once you're all done drawing your triangles, go through and in the middle of each triangle, put a thick dot. So I'm actually drawing a tiny orb and filling it in. On my smaller triangles, I might just put a dot there, but for these bigger ones, I'm going to make sure that I put a good size circle in the middle of it, but don't fill your entire triangle because we're going to do a second step. Next, we're going to draw a series of lines radiating out from that center orb. I start by connecting the orb to the corners of the triangle, as I'm doing here. And then I add in a line or two along each edge, and that's going to just depend on how big my triangle is. Some of these really odd-shaped triangles, it'll be kind of an exercise of squishing in as many lines as you can, and sometimes you only get those first 3 lines. But for these triangles here in the middle that are pretty well formed and have a lot of space, I can actually put a couple lines per side after I get the corner lines taken care of. So now I'm going to go through and do all of my triangles with these little radiating lines. Put down your pen and either pick up your chalk pastel pencil or your graphite pencil. Either one will work. And around each of those little orbs, I'm going to put a little bit of either color or graphite down. So I'm just going to go around. I'm not coloring all the way out to the edges. I'm keeping this fairly close to the orb itself. The really tiny triangles will only get a very small amount of graphite or color. So I just almost put a dot in there on top of the dot that I did in pen. So I'm going to grab my Tortillon and I'm going to pull that pencil away from the dot, and that's going to create a bit of a gradient. I'm being careful not to pull all of the blue away, so I end up with one solid color triangle. Instead, it's going to be darker at the center and then it becomes lighter as it goes towards the edge. And I am actually, especially in the bigger triangles, trying to leave some white there at the edge. I'm not going all the way out with the blues. Next, I'm going to grab my graphite pencil. If you started with graphite, you might want to skip this step. I'm basically drawing a circle of graphite around that center orb. And what I'm going to do is just deepen that shadow around the orb so it really looks like the middle is kind of collapsing in on itself. You might decide you want to do this if you used graphite. You might just want to darken this up a little bit. So if you feel like you need to add a little more graphite to do this, go for it. If you feel like you have enough, then you don't need to do this step. But this works really well when you have started with color. Next, I'm going to grab my Tortillon and blend that out. I'm keeping the pencil right where I drew it. I'm just smudging it out a tiny bit around that center orb. I'm not pulling it into the triangle at all. When you're done, take a moment and admire the work that you put into your design. And when you're ready, grab your pen and add your chop to the design. There you have it, Tripoli.